Welcome to Encouraging Wellness, where we shed light on the plethora of holistic healing and wellness methods so you can give yourself the power to ask why and become bigger than the condition you are dealing with or the illness you are currently fighting. Join Pamela Wirth as she sits down with doctors, medical experts, healthcare practitioners, and those with unique healing stories to dissect groundbreaking practices that combine traditional Western medicine with alternative modalities. Hear conversations that empower you to go beyond hurtful stigmas, outdated practices, and unnecessary labels, guiding you towards a healthier and happier you. Here, we highlight your true worth and help unleash your inner courage. Now your host, Pamela.
Hi, this is Pamela at Pamela@hello.health, and today I have Sue Chen, who is founder of Nova Medical Products and a fantastic hazelnut farmer in Oregon, may I may add. And then her sister Tina Chen, who is a healthcare professional who is currently living in Mexico and serving an incredible population. So thank you both for being here.
It's our pleasure.
So Sue, I start with you because you and I have known each other longer. Met you through a group called YPO with some really incredible people that we've been really blessed to be able to work with and communicate with and support each other. And tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got into Nova Medical Products and health and wellness and your mentors, and just kind of walk us through that journey.
I would love to. And I have to say how especially wonderful it is to be doing this podcast with my dear sister. And I think kind of the beginning of the journey is a journey we've shared together. So we're 5 years apart, and our father was a rehab doctor. And he really cared for the well-being, but also the rehabilitation of his patients, who he found the most courageous people in the world. It really inspired him. And sadly, he passed away from a long battle with cancer when I was just 14, and Tina was just 9. But both of us have been able to kind of carry on my father's dream and his passion of caring for people and enabling them and really, allowing them to be the best they can be. And so Nova, the origin of Nova is my father. He wanted to make better products for his patients, especially when he had his time at the VA. And he felt like there was better products out there to allow them to live courageously and with the most ability. And then Tina really, shared his passion. Even though she was so young when he passed away, I feel that, she really inherited his spirit for caring for people and as a healthcare professional, but also in her life. So, we didn't have a relationship with our father as adults, but I feel that we were able to carry on his dream.
Fantastic. Tina, how about you?
I would beg to differ a bit because, his legacy really is carried on through her work ethic, the way that, she runs a company that makes medical products, but they don't just make medical products. He was just concerned with providing, but she took it to another level and made it so that people could be proud of the medical products that they were using, that they could feel good about the things that they were and so instead of feeling disabled, they felt enabled and actually wanted to show off their new walker. And she pretty much is the one that brought beauty and color to the industry of medical products, which is one of the most boring and was one of the most ugly industries in terms of having a cane or having a walker that was just silver and plastic and just, it didn't make anyone feel happy about using it. But she single-handedly took it to the next level, and now the industry is kind of changed forever. So, that I think was a secret dream of his, but he probably didn't even know that it could have happened, in his lifetime, in his scope. So I am always, every time I see a Nova Walker, I'm like, oh my gosh, and other brands too. I'm also proud because who can have a walker? Who needs a walker but doesn't need a seat? And that's kind of was the heart of the heart in invention and innovation of Nova, was to make a rolling walker that has a seat on it, that someone could have more freedom to not be so scared because they can't sit down. So, everything Sue said, my my heart was with rehabilitation. I thought, maybe I could be a doctor, but after seeing how competitive it was, I thought, you know what? I think maybe physical therapy is the way to go for me because I can spend more time. But seeing a person devastated by physical injury, whether it's physiological or mental, like a neurological injury, and then being able to come alongside and walk with them through the process, but also give them hope in that process that, yeah, they might not be able to get to 100%. Who knows? It's possible. But adjusting to the new normal, celebrating the small wins, just being able to be happy being alive instead of, in another state. So being able to carry that, like, that hope that, we are, as human beings, incredible miracles in terms of our body, mind, and spirit. And all those three things play a part in our rehabilitation process physically, but also emotionally, spiritually. It's all connected. So, I didn't say goodbye to my physical therapy career, which I loved, but I kind of said, I welcomed like a new aspect of working with trauma victims, being in an environment where, they're survivors of human trafficking, some like 9, 10, 12, 15 years old, and suffering physical trauma, but so much like basically their soul and spirit is fractured for all that they've endured. And then being able to witness the healing process, the recovery process, step by step, and how like I can play a small role in that in terms of the body, but also witnessing like how is a mind able to like go back to normal living, and what does it mean to be successful as a survivor of human trafficking? There's like so many ways to look at that, but it's been like a dream come true to live in Mexico City and to work with this amazing organization, Pozo de Vida, and just coming alongside and like seeing these girls just, blossom, and then they take a step back and they take a step forward, and it's kind of like a reflection of ourselves, in our own lives. So it's
So,
been
Tina, based on your work and obviously so much of what you're seeing, when you come into contact with these children, what ages are they mostly? I mean, what are you?
They're mostly between 13 and 16 or 17.
And then those are obviously very difficult ages to begin with. I mean, do you find, obviously, in there's a ton of mental anguish and work that needs to be done physically?
Yeah.
How are you working with them? Do you find that there's certain things that help them through anxiety and depression and hormones and everything else that's going on?
It's so many things, but actually it's just consistency of like presence. Like you're consistently present and giving love. So sometimes that love comes in boundaries. Sometimes that love comes in consequences, natural consequences of the safe house, rules that are broken, they have consequences. But it's like a consistency of a healthy love, whereas their reality has been an unhealthy love, which has been like conditional, manipulative, just everything that you would. And as the teenage mind is growing, their values are, your body is only good for this, your love, my love for you is only conditional if you can do these things for me. And a lot of the girls come and their traffickers are either their family members or their boyfriend. And so that completely, like I would say, ruins their idea and concept of a loving relationship. What is that like? And so my husband and I always joke that we only have to be just normal human beings at the safe house, because that's what they need, is to see a normal person being in a loving relationship with them or each other. And then that way they can kind of see that. And little by little, we work through, I'm not a trained professional, so we have trained professionals for therapy, for psychology, for spiritual healing, because a lot of them have spiritual abuse and trauma with like being dedicated to demons and death saints and just really dark things. And so we have to address that aspect, and just allowing them to be teenagers, playing, enjoying, fighting, hormones, everything, just like allowing that to take place, and then having the people that come alongside, and like as a team, we work together. But I have to say the spiritual component is the most, like I would say, the most important to maintain the atmosphere of the house, because there's a lot of people can say it's the universe. You know, we're not a religious organization, but our founders are pastors, because you kind of have to have a fountain where you can receive strength when you're looking at things that are so dark.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable what they've been through. And so, you know, a lot of people might think, how could, you know, God allow that to happen? Well, evil exists in the world. And so taking them through the journey, that knowing that their loved and their value is outside of whatever has happened to them or whatever choices they make, successes or failures. Their value remains the same. It's completely loved. And that's what we're trying to build up.
No, that's
them,
super.
you know?
And then in that, talk to me a little bit about how you're feeding them, what kind of nutrition you doing. I mean, there's got to be a ton of
So
deficiencies.
there's an organization called All Care, and All Care loves to, like, they feed the world like in different projects, and we're one of their projects. So they fund all of our nutritional needs for the Safe House. And so we look at our budget, we look at the menu. Mexico is just a you know, plethora of fresh everything. Everything comes from markets on the street. And so we look at the menu, we look at, but some girls have never had salad, you know, so we teach them how to prepare food, but we also look at the nutrition of what they're eating and their diet, and making sure that everything stays healthy, and you know, that they're having like balanced food, and you know, things like that. So there are people that are kind of in charge of that area.
That's great.
But yes, it is definitely addressed.
And then Sue, obviously with your farm in Oregon, tell us a little bit about how you're coming at clean eating, and some of the activities that you're doing in sustainability, and your goals going forward.
Well, in this journey of being a farmer, I've just learned so much about food, growing food, our relationship with food, and also just about being stewards of the soil. And really, I think about the word sustainability, and it's actually not enough to sustain ourselves, to sustain the planet. It's just not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
We need to cultivate. You know, like you said, we need to encourage. We need to bring courage to how we eat and how we steward the soil. And they all come together. And so, you know, when I think about conventional farming and what we're doing to food, we're actually creating a lot of poison in our foods, and also how we process foods and people's relationship with food, I think, has gotten really distorted. And it leads to so many issues that we have today with people's health. But if you just break it down and you just understand the miracle it is to put a seed in the ground, and that one seed can produce 100 pounds of beautiful squashes, and that food nourishes you. I really believe that everything we grow is there to heal us, you know, mentally, physically, and spiritually. But what it comes down to is you've got to take care of the land. If you take care of the land will take care of us. So it's really been quite a introspective, but also visionary quest in thinking about food, health, and well-being.
So my family is actually on both sides. I've got farmers, and somehow my parents' generation didn't embrace any of that. I would never know how to live off the land if I had to, which is actually, frankly, kind of scary. What do you suggest for people that actually do want to learn more about how they can learn about making food and taking care of themselves and things like that?
Yes. Well, it's actually such a fun journey. You know, I feel like just cooking together, you know, as a family, you know, going to the farmer's market and meeting the farmer that grows the lettuce and that raises the cow and that has the chickens, you know, that is an easy, fun, and powerful step in having healthy living. You know, there was a time that, you know, we all grew our own food, and, you know, it's not easy to do, and it's a lot of work. Not everyone can do it, but we can still cook together. You know, we can still have an understanding of where our food comes from. And when I talk about having a healthy relationship with food, that's what I mean. I feel like in the last 30 years, we've become a culture that can just basically have a whole meal out of a box, cereal box, and processed food. So you could basically eat constantly, have all of your nutrition and calories come from things that are really not normal. And
Yeah.
I feel like that has perpetuated in a lot of serious health issues that affect everyone today.
hmm No, for sure. And um, do you, in addition to going to farmers markets and cooking together, do you have any other suggestions on any websites or anything in particular you suggest for folks that want to learn more about clean eating or things that they could do for their families?
Well, I think that there's just, I feel like a cheater farmer because you can go on YouTube and there's hundreds of podcasts out there and YouTube channels that can teach you anywhere you are to grow whatever you want if you want to. If you live on a balcony and you want to grow cucumbers. So if you have any interest, in growing your own food, no matter where you are, there's tons of information out there. So I don't really have I have podcasts that I love, and series that I love, but they're out there. So I think it's really fun, especially if you've got kids, to grow something. Grow something that you're going to eat.
Yeah.
And there's something that happens with kids when they grow something, they actually probably are going to like it. Like they're not going to use something that they grew themselves. So I would say just, go on YouTube, say, I want to grow this and I live here, and boom, there'll be 100 videos.
No, that's awesome. And then Tina, I spent many, many years in hospitality and obviously kept very vigilant watch because human trafficking is such a problem everywhere. It's not a regional thing. It's not a national thing. It's everywhere. What sort of suggestions do you have for people to help keep an eye out, to recognize some, and if they, and even beyond human trafficking, if there's, large emotional challenges that you're starting to see in people, any suggestions you may have?
In general, it's really important to talk about online safety, because online safety is the now way that a lot of people get trapped. It's the phishing, it's the free trip, it's the getting to know someone that you don't know online, and they're saying all the right things. And so talking about online safety in the home and online safety with your kids, and then also the concept of like, if it's too good to be true, it might not be, because a lot of our girls were offered like modeling gigs and things like that, and they're so flattered and they're so excited, and then it turns into something different. And so I think just like teaching our kids to be aware and to have to be open and to have conversations with others about what's going on, so that someone can say, well, let's check that out, and to be able to have like open dialogue about what are some of the risk factors, that how does someone get hooked in. Usually it does seem so good, and the relationship seems so good for a while, and then suddenly there's a request of dancing at a strip club. Well, you want to be a model, so what's the difference between dancing at the beach with your bathing suit and dancing at a club with very little clothes on? So it's kind of, if this is what you really want, then you should need to be brave and go for it. So it's like taking truthful things and manipulating them where someone's uncomfortable doing that, and it's just taking one step at a time to groom them to be something else. And so I think that online safety, and then also I think just having conversations about value, like valuing our body, and how like the value that we have, is more than just our body and what we're wearing and how we look and that, but just having healthy body values, I think, is important. And I think in terms of trauma, being able to just like, our job isn't to police or to change anyone, but our job is to really like love and forgive and like give grace to each other and just live that way. So, a lot of times the girls have a hard time forgiving their perpetrator, and it's kind of like, well, why would they need to forgive them after what they've done? But a lot of times it's to set themselves free, not for that other person. And sometimes we have like a male stand in the gap. My husband or, our founder stands in the gap and says, hey, I want to ask you for forgiveness for men, so that they have a memory of that they can move forward, and they don't have to hold on to all the negative, but they can focus on the positive and the people that do really care. So I think that those are kind of the main takeaways that I see. And by the way, Sue, Bryson is growing parsley in his room from a seed, and it sprouted baby parsley leaves, and he just showed me this morning, and he's so excited.
We'll have to exchange sprout pictures.
I love it. So I really appreciate both of you. Sue, I've purchased one of the walkers for my grandma. She loves that thing. It's a bright red. It's a little racy. And she's super petite. She's like 4'8", but she swears she's 5'2". And she is able to get around and loves it. So thank you so much for everything you're doing. And I can't wait to see where all of your farming is going, because I know that you're not anywhere near done. If people want to find out more about you and what you do, which website should they visit?
Well, with Nova, novajoy.com is a good place. Also on YouTube, we have our own YouTube channel, Nova Medical Products. You would just search that. And for on the medical side, so there I've got hundreds of videos, and I love showing people the cool walkers for their grandma, because it's I think the perception is a sad product, and I want to take all that denial out of the feeling of using medical equipment. So I make my videos really fun and educational. And on the farming side, my hazelnut farm is lovehazelnuts.com, because hazelnuts are, I believe, America's best nut. So that's a great place to learn about hazelnuts, especially hazelnuts as a health food, because it's so good for you. Also, it's good for the planet.
Awesome. And Tina, where do we learn more about you and everything that you're doing?
The organization that I work with is called El Pozo de Vida. It's ELPOZODEVIDA. So it's called the Well of Life, but in Spanish. elpozodevida.org.mx, and the website's in Spanish and English. You can just look at projects. It's a holistic approach against human trafficking. And I'm on social media as Tina Chen PT. I kind of just post about our life here in Mexico and how much we love it, and we wouldn't change anything. And we just love our life here so much. And this culture is incredible, and the people here unparalleled. So we love it here. And so that's kind of like the mix of, what we're doing.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both so much. You both are just fantastic mentors to everyone else that's listening, and such an inspiration to me and to others. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Welcome. Thanks for having us.
That's it for this episode of Encouraging Wellness. We hope this serves as an eye-opener to you on new ways to approach your health and wellness. By learning both unique and the best alternative wellness and healing methods, you can live your best life. Listen to more of our episodes at www.hello.health. Be sure to subscribe to the show and leave a rating. Together, let us work towards unlocking you and your family's best self. Thank you for listening. See you on the next one.